Red. It's Clash.
Good evening, guys. Hey, welcome back to Reddit Talks Clash. Tonight we have Trample Damage with us. I'm Congressman Cool Rick, and then also joining us here is Frank Bang. How's it going, guys?
Hey, dude. How's it going? Super excited to have Trample back on.
It's been a year, almost exactly. It was. I looked it up. It was our third episode. Yeah, it was our third episode, February 20th. Just over a year ago since the last time we heard from Trample, at least in this format.
That's awesome. Rick, is he our first
we'll do it every February.
yeah. Like if we do, I was thinking if we make it to like a season 3 next February, you got to be episode 3, and you get the Holy Trinity, season 3, episode 3 every time.
Now we're talking.
In the last year, a lot of changes for Trample Damage on the content creating front. You got tier 3 status. How's that been for you? What have been the biggest changes?
So I started seeing a cardiologist because now I have like heart palpitations, and I like.
How about that?
I don't, there's probably just more of a coincidence here, but like in September last year, I think there was some stress component to it because I was so excited about it, but I found myself feeling more obligated to do stuff that I had already been posting on TikTok a lot. I had already been posting, a couple, maybe like once a week on YouTube. But it's like they had just launched, like there were a whole bunch of the Clash challenges. It was like around the Clash anniversary, and I was just like spending way more time becoming more like obsessed with the content creation, and I was trying to like do more stuff on my Discord server, and I was like, I really need to like take it back a little bit and take a break a little bit. So that probably wasn't like a great thing, but man, it feels really cool. Like my kids will tell their friends and their classmates, they're like, oh yeah, because like they'll see their friends playing like Clash of Clans or Clash Royale or any Supercell game. They're like, hey, you should use my dad's creator code. And most of their friends are like, yeah, right. And then she's like, no, seriously, look, I'll show you. And then they like show my YouTube channel or my TikTok account. And then the people are like, oh my God, that's so cool. And I probably make no money from it because they're high school kids, but still, it's, it's a cool flex.
So for anybody who doesn't know, Rick mentioned that you're tier 3 now. What are the different tiers and why is that a big deal?
Well, so technically, actually, they only have, they modified the program now to where they only have like, creators and super creators. But the old paradigm, there were tier 1, 2, and 3. Tier 1 basically was you get access to a Discord server that is focused on Clash content, and they will give you like very light sneak peeks, more like, hey, cool stuff coming in the next day or two, we'll let you know what it is, but we're not telling you what it is. And then basically as stuff would get posted on Clash of Clans social media, they would wind up putting a little bit of content for the tier 1 creators where they could see it's basically the same stuff they're posting publicly, but it's more just a function of like, hey, you're in with us, you're talking to us, there's like a few resources, you can make friends with people. At tier 2, you actually will get stuff like an image of what the challenge base is going to be a couple of days before the challenge drops, maybe only a day before the challenge drops. Not enough information to like make a tutorial, but enough to at least start brainstorming what you're going to do. Then you also get access to a different Discord server. Then when you hit tier 3, that's when they invite you to join the creator Slack, which I didn't know what that was until Congressman Coolrick was like, something Slack. And I was like, what's Slack? And he said, it's like, oh, it's kind of like what I remember how you described it.
It's like Discord for adults.
Yeah, Discord for work, I think is what it was. And so I got invited to join their Slack, and I got to pick a creator code so that I could start raking in the big bucks for when people use code Trample. And now I get to do all the cool stuff that Rick has been able to do. And Frank, are you also, because I know a couple of you guys are also.
Yeah, a handful of us are. I'm one of them. Rick is one. And I don't think any of the others who are part of the podcast are. I think it's just, it's just us.
So you guys know, it's like, I got to start, like before Town Hall 15 came out, I got to see like all the cool sneak peeks, and I got to do like test wars, with the new troop and the new pets and the new defenses. And it was super cool. On the creator program portal now, they technically are like, they're not doing like tier 1, 2, and 3 anymore. And I think, I'm not saying I'm the one that broke the paradigm for this, but they used to have pretty strict guidelines on X number of YouTube followers, Y number of Twitch followers can get you from tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 3. And I think at some point, just my following on TikTok, they were like, well, this person actually has like a really big following, but his YouTube channel isn't going to hit 50,000 subscribers anytime soon, but he does have a decent footprint. And so I think that they started just recognizing that other platforms and other content creation were maybe big enough for them to get a little bit more exposure. And I got a call out of the blue from somebody saying, hey, how would you like to get a creator code and be tier 3? I was like, that sounds lovely. Let's do it. And so
you sounded like the hog rider.
Oh, I wasn't. I make all kinds of random voices. Like, it was great for my kids when they were growing up because I would read to them and make voices for all the characters.
Oh, that's sweet.
And when I do my my YouTube videos, sometimes it'll like you'll hear me in there saying something like, "We love you, Trample Damage."
Oh, so super exciting that you're up to super creator now. I think is what you said the new paradigm was.
Yes.
Have you
that's their new
seen a
terminology.
change in your content now that you have access to more of the sneak peeks, less like speculative, more like sneak peekish? How's your content changed, if at all, since the change of your status?
I mean, really, the biggest difference is I didn't used to like. I used to know like, oh, a challenge is coming tomorrow, which was normally prefaced with something to my wife like, oh, there's a challenge tomorrow, which basically would mean like I'm gonna have to wake up as early because like all the big YouTubers, they record their stuff well in advance and they've got it all scheduled and ready to go. Whereas like I'm waking up at 6 o'clock my time when the videos are already live for 5 or 6 hours, and I'm very quickly trying to figure out a methodology that can be done consistently, and then I can quickly record something and then I slam it up on TikTok. And even with me not posting until 6 or 7 or 8 hours after the video or after the challenge was live in the game, I would still get a lot of traction. So the nice thing for me from that perspective is because I can do it ahead of time, it's like I make a version for TikTok, I make a version for YouTube, and recently I started making versions for Reddit as well because I know some people don't want to have to go hunting stuff down. And I do tend to make what I feel like is some of the easier to copy challenge videos because I practice them over and over until it's not dependent on luck. It's not dependent on like crazy skills and timing. I try and make it as easy as possible. I'll post the TikTok version. I'll post that on Instagram also. So that has helped a bunch since getting access to the program. I've tried to do some of the stuff where it's like, the gold pass dropped, make sure, use my code and buy the gold pass. And like the content creators that are full-time at this, like that's their bread and butter. Like they really need those videos. And so they'll do all that type of stuff. And I tried doing it when I first got my creator code, but I was like, it's not fun content to me. Like most of the stuff I like to make is just tutorials. Like, hey, here's a Town Hall 11 Zap Witch. Here's Town Hall 12 Go Hog. Here's a cool mass Yeti army that I'm trying to Town Hall 13. And so I really just do the same kind of stuff that I used to do. The difference is, I don't know, now I get the challenge videos sooner, and like my clanmates are a little more jealous.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the challenge video. I know that Rick, we were talking earlier, and he had several questions for you about the challenge that you made in particular. Rick, I don't know if you wanted to get into that.
Yeah, like how did that go down? Like what led you into having the opportunity to make a challenge map?
So I'm one of those people that like I've always liked the saying, if you want it, go get it. And this was something like I always thought it'd be really cool to be able to design one of the challenge videos. But I also realized that in the scheme of things with the pool of Supercell creators, like I might be, the largest original content creator on TikTok, but I'm not anywhere near as big as a lot of the other people that have been doing it for a long time, even some of the newer ones that just got really big on YouTube. And so I figured, nobody's going to be knocking on my door asking me to put something together. So like mid-December-ish, early December last year, we got a notice on the creator Slack saying something like, hey, we want to start doing a challenge created by one of our content creators each month at least. And, that's just something for you guys to look forward to. And I figured, they're not going to ask me anytime soon. So at the very least, I can pitch some ideas because there's a couple people that I've become, fairly friendly with, and I'm obnoxious. Like when I become friendly with somebody, sometimes I'll just like start sending them random messages about stuff. And it's like, so I was messaging with somebody and I didn't realize how much control and insight she had into the challenge stuff. And I was like, hey, I didn't know you built those. Those were super cool. Because I was actually asking somebody if they would be interested in possibly doing an interview for a podcast that I was a part of before. And we got to talking about challenges. And I said, hey, I actually have this cool idea from this attack that I did years ago when Town Hall 13 was maxed, using super archers to shoot through storages to hit the Town Hall. And she was like, that actually sounds really cool. So I went into the development box and I built out a base that doesn't look much like this one, because my art skills are terrible. The heart didn't look anything like a heart. I don't know, or like maybe it was somebody with congestive heart failure or something. And so
maybe with your heart palpitations.
Yeah.
I mocked up something and I sent it, and she said, this is actually super cool. Christmas holiday and whatnot. Let's talk in the new year. And so, again, I'm very proactive about stuff, and I sent a little bit more detail, and I actually fleshed it out a little. I made the heart nicer. I made it a little, but I didn't have the version of the development box where you can like add extra versions of the defenses and remove them. So I just put a whole bunch of stuff in the corner. I was like, ignore all the stuff that's over here. And I sent her a video saying, hey, this is kind of the attack that I was thinking, and it would focus on super archers, but like the cool aspect of super archers, which is their ability to hit through buildings into another one, which is a great tactic for Town Hall 11, by the way. And she was like, oh my gosh, I love it. It's super cool. Let me get you access to the dev build and you can flesh it out. And then she sent me a laundry list of things I'd need to do. It was like, do this, then send us this thing, send us this here. And so I built it out and I fine-tuned a little bit. And she said, hey, this is cool. Let's test it sometime this week. And she sent me a message one morning saying, hey, are you free? I was like, yeah, cool. Because, she's in Helsinki, so she's 10 hours ahead of me. So it was like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock my time. And I said, actually, I was about to take the dogs for a walk. So can we do it in like an hour? And she said, yeah, let me see if Itsu's available and he can help test also, because I use him to test stuff.
Oh, cool.
So we got on there, and she's like, don't tell me how to do it. I want to try it myself. And she's like, I'm not getting it. I don't know what what's the trick? Like, what's the score here? And so I said, don't try and use the 4 earthquake spells to blow open walls, because that's one of the things I thought would be cool, is like, teaching something through the challenge videos. And I said, just use the earthquake spells to soften up the defenses. And then she's like, oh, and then, she liked it. And so then while we were on there, then Itsu came on. He's like, oh, hey, how's it going? And I said, you always seem, because I just say stuff. I said, you always seem like a really nice guy. And he's like, oh, thank you. And then she's like, oh, no, he really is. And so we were chatting for a minute, and he tried it out. And on his device, the first version that I built, it was a smaller heart in the bottom right and the bottom left, where you would deploy the super archer in the ideal completion of the challenge. And I only had one tile in there where you could deploy. But on his tablet, it kept putting the super archer too close, and the monolith was hitting the super archer. So he's like, I feel like, but mine, it was working fine. And so what I ended up doing was I slightly redesigned it. I made the heart a little bigger so that you could deploy the super archer kind of like on the back side of the heart and let her step up to the elixir storage to be able to hit the monolith. And then I also filled in the top heart. And then at that point, I don't know if you know Hero Killa, who hosted a podcast called the Only Clash Podcast, was killed in a car accident back in January. And so when I was designing the base originally, I had it as like regular heart level, the max level for Town Hall 15 for the walls. And Hero's like signature emote on Discord was a white heart. And I was like, oh, you know what? So I changed them to level 11 wall, level 11 or 12, whatever, the white ones. And so I just changed the wall colors and, added a slightly bigger heart. And then I put in some decorations. Like the flowers that I put near the elixir storages on the outside were supposed to be like markers or hints for people, especially the content creators, so that when they were making the video, they could say, oh, put a super archer right here between these flowers and put one over here. And so I tried to put those there. It looks decorative, but it was also functional in that it was marking areas where it would be good to deploy the super archers. That was it.
It was funny with those flowers too, because I was talking to you about how to do it when we were playing on the dev build that day. And I was saying, like, man, I keep putting these archers like I know the general idea of it, but I keep putting my archers like too close. I'm gonna have to count tiles in the middle of saying that sentence. I'm like, oh wait, these flowers are probably.
I remember. Yeah, I remember. You're like, oh, those are a hint, aren't they?
Yeah, it was like mid-sentence is when it clicked. Sometimes I just have to finish saying a dumb sentence out loud before I realize it. Were you given like any other direction on things it had to include or restrictions on things it couldn't include?
So the only direction I got specifically for this challenge was because they were launching it at the same time as the Heart Hunter Queen. It had to include a queen, ideally one on offense and on defense. And so the general rules, the bases have to include a clan castle and a town hall. I'm assuming there's some kind of coding issue behind it, but that was the only thing I was told. And then also, I there's a super troop that might not be available, and I don't know how much to share. So there's a super troop that may not be available in all regions, and so I was told don't use this one super troop. I was like, okay, cool. I wasn't going to anyway, just using super archers and golems. But aside from that, I just wanted to do something with what I didn't want were builder huts, because I thought builder huts would make it where people felt like they had to move very quickly and they had to be more precise with the earthquake placement. So I was really happy that I didn't have to have, builder huts in there, because I figured that was going to make it more complicated, because I wanted to make it something that would be, not super easy spam, but at the same time wasn't something that was like, okay, like I got a lot of people that messaged me after the Lunar New Year challenge and the Lexnos Beast King skin challenge, and people like, these challenges are so hard, this is so stupid, it requires so much timing, and what's with all these traps? And like, I was practicing to where I could get it down and beat it consistently over and over again, but some of the challenges, they're pretty complicated. And I was like, I want something where there's like a trick, almost like the blacksmith puzzles. When you know the trick, the metal falls apart immediately. And if you don't know it, you're like, I don't understand, I don't think this actually works. But then as soon as you see the trick, you're like, oh yeah, this is really easy. So really just make sure you have the Archer Queen so that we can have the Heart Hunter Queen skin. And beside that, it was, free reign.
What you're saying is making like the trick to it. I think that's really cool. Are we allowed to talk about what region the super troops are in or not? Because I haven't heard that before. That's fascinating to me.
Unless you're talking about something that's yet to come, it is public knowledge that the super miner is not available in China.
Okay, I didn't know. So I don't want to say.
Oh, because of the server split. Okay, less.
So yeah, that was the only thing. She basically just said, yeah, you can't use the super miner. And afterwards, actually, I specifically messaged and said, hey, I love this piece of the game. I loved the challenge videos from the moment I saw the first one. If you ever need extra people to help test levels, let me know. My sleep schedule is terrible considering like their normal work hours are when I'm sleeping. I was like, but if you ever want extra people to test, she said, absolutely. I'll go ahead and leave you with access to that environment. And, I'll leave you in this one Discord channel so we can communicate about it. And there's been some communication recently about challenges that would be coming up in future months. And so I see already who the creators are. I don't know if it's like public knowledge or anything, so I won't say anything, but it was cool to see that. And I sort of pitched her already on another idea. I was like, I'm not trying to like steal other people's turn and stuff, but like, I just love building these things. And I'm like, so I pitched another idea and she's like, that sounds really cool. I was like, all right, so one of these days I'll flesh it out and send it to her.
Did you like test a bunch of spam just to make sure it didn't work and they had to do the super archer earthquake tricks?
So this is what, like, while I wanted it to be somewhat of a challenge and I didn't want it to be like easily something that succumbs to spam, I built the challenge originally to be able to be done with 2 golems and 8 super archers. That's what, like, I just kept pulling, like the first time I built it, I had sneaky goblins and I had super archers and I had a couple regular archers and I had a couple regular barbarians and some other just like extra troops essentially. And then I was going for something thematic because with the Beast King skin and the Archer Queen is like the beauty, it's kind of like a Beauty and the Beast theme. So I said, oh, well, I could do like beauties and beasts and just use super archers and golems, and those could be the beauties and the beasts. And so I started trying the challenge with fewer and fewer and fewer troops until it was really barely making it. Oh, that was the other thing. I had more skeleton traps. Like I had like 5 or 6 skeleton traps around the troll Tesla in the corner, and Nitsu was like, please don't do that. He's like, you should. It's like, people are going to hate this. I was like, you don't even have to go over there. You can save the Royal Champion's ability and just use the Royal Champion's ability at the very end, and you don't even have to deal with them. He's like, just don't. He's like, after the Lunar New Year challenge with all those skeleton traps, I was like, you know what? That is a good point, because I had a lot of people tell me they hated all those skeleton traps on the Lunar New Year challenge. So I pulled those out. but I just kept testing it over and over again with fewer and fewer troops. And it was like 8 archers with 2 golems seemed like it was good enough. And so I said, I'm going to just throw in an extra golem and a couple extra super archers. And that would be, that would give people a little bit of wiggle room. And I had a couple people post on TikTok like, oh, I just spammed everything from the right and I got it. And I was like, I don't know. I tried that repeatedly.
Oh, yeah. That was the first thing. That was the first thing I did. Because I just wanted to go and be a jerk to you, but I tried spamming everything from corners a bunch of times just to see if I could get it to work. But I couldn't.
What kept causing it to fail for me whenever I would try to spam is a lot of times the super archers, without the pathing of taking out the monoliths ahead of time, they would walk around the outside, and I had a bunch of giant bombs all around the outside, and so the super archers would eventually run out of gas just from hitting all the giant bombs. And it was like, I had people tell me, oh, I just quaked right into the town hall and just did that. I was like, then you left both the monoliths up? Okay, sure. And look, maybe somebody got lucky doing it, but it was definitely not intended to be something that you could really easily spam through. But I did give people, and it was actually, so I watched a couple of the videos, and Clash Bashing actually said, oh, if a super archer gets killed, there's extra. So just, put another one. Whereas some other people I saw, they were like, oh, if a super archer gets killed, just restart the challenge.
Yeah, that is one of the nicer things I like about this one, is that it is more forgiving. So if I were going to go through all my multiple accounts, it's always annoying when you make one little tiny mistake and then have to restart. Having those 4 extra super archers is really convenient, just because there's a couple of those super archer placements where, like it feels like you're a pixel off and the scatter gets them, but it's nice to have a spare.
Yeah, that was definitely the game plan. I wanted it to be thought-provoking, somewhat challenging, but also not so complicated that people were like, oh, man, and now you got to wait and hope the Archer Queen is going to go the direction you want. Or, kind of sometimes, like the Lunar New Year challenge, there was a lot of I had a good methodology for it, but I also had backup plans because of how many times I practiced it. And it was like, oh, well, if this Tesla doesn't go down, do this. If these Teslas do go down, put a balloon here first, then test for traps here, then do this. And so it's like, I didn't want the challenge to be like that. The only place I think people would get into trouble with this one, following my methodology that I put out there, was deploying the Royal Champion too soon. Because before, the Yak was the only way to get inside. And I didn't give anybody a poison spell. So it's like, all those archers would come out and just absolutely wreck the Royal Champion if she got into the base, even with the monoliths down. If she got in there ahead of everybody else, she'd get locked on by a single target tower, the Rage Tower in there helping them out, the archers coming out of there with the Rage spell, and the Royal Champion would disappear very quickly. So it's like, just hold on to the RC and, it would be good.
Real quick, I'll interject here. Dracula had a good question down in the comments. He said, what's harder, designing and balancing the layout or designing the army comp? So which one did you find more challenging, I guess?
I think probably for me it was figuring out what to do with the army composition. But to be fair, this was somewhat I sort of had the idea born as a whole because of that attack that I had made back in when Town Hall 13 was the highest Town Hall. I knew that I wanted that idea, and I knew it was Valentine's Day, so I was pitching it as a Valentine's one ahead of time, knowing that heart shape would be good, and a heart shape would be a nice layout for walls to be able to have the storages set around the outside as anchor points for those super archers. So that to me was very natural. The only part that I had trouble with, because I am not gifted in art, and so I was asking my daughter to help me plan out the layout of the walls for the hearts, because they kept looking like, I don't know, circles with a little, they look like peaches or something, I don't know. So I got a little help. I got a little help from her to try and make it a little bit more heart shaped. So that part, and then the troop piece, the biggest piece was trying to give people enough troops to be able to defeat the challenge, even with a few things going wrong, without giving them so many that you could just do I'm going to put my finger in the corner and just select all the troops and then call it a day. But so I'd say probably more difficult on the troop balancing side, because especially once I started going with a thematic piece of only using the super archers and the golems, because a single super archer is actually pretty powerful. They do a lot. So one extra super archer or 2 extra super archers, it's actually, a very powerful troop. Same thing with the golems. So many hit points.
Did you consult with anyone else on designing this, or was it really just kind of your idea start to finish and then getting that little bit of feedback from it too?
No, just me the whole way. I'm overly cautious in general. Like I am very risk averse in life, and especially, having gotten access to the creator program, I don't want to do anything to mess it up and like, get myself in trouble. And I don't want to breach the trust that Supercell has placed in me by giving me access to stuff early. So like I take it very seriously, perhaps maybe more so than other people do, or maybe just as much as everybody else. But like it's very important to me to maintain that integrity. And so like I waited a really long time before even mentioning to anybody that it's something that I was pursuing and even, throwing thoughts out about it. And so I just, I had so much of it down and planned out before I even sent the idea in that really the testing piece of it was just, I don't know, like almost a formality. Although I am glad for some of the additional, because what I didn't think about was, and I don't know if Itsu plays on like an Android tablet or if he was maybe on his phone, but whatever device he was on, the placement of the Super Archer inside the smaller heart that I made was definitely different. But I wasn't having any problems on my phone, my tablet, anything. So it was cool to be able to see that other perspective where maybe some slight differential in the operating system on the phone would potentially do that. And I think he was right. It was probably a good idea not to have 5 or 6 skeleton traps over by the Tesla in the corner, because that probably would have been annoying.
Hey, all right. Anything else you want to tell us about the challenge map before we move on?
No, it was, the one thing I will say is I thought was interesting was checking to see how other people completed the challenge. Because I am, not to toot my own horn, but I do a good job of picking out good methodologies for defeating the challenges, ones that normally don't involve a lot of luck. And so I frequently will have people reach out to me. And I was surprised, like nobody reached out to me to say like, hey, how should we do this? And I thought maybe I made it too easy. Or it's just that these are people that have been playing Clash for a long time and they recognized it as like a blacksmith puzzle, that it was just going to be a trick to figure out. And everybody quickly figured out 4 earthquake spells are not going to be used to blow open the walls. But just because there was a consistent methodology that was established, I was curious to see how other people presented the attacks. And I noticed a lot of people were doing 3 super archers on the town hall instead of just 2, which is what I intended. And I also saw a lot of people putting multiple super archers on the scattershot side. But for the most part, most of the methodologies I saw were very, very similar to what I originally anticipated people doing with it.
Yeah, I spent the morning on YouTube looking at probably 5 or 6 different videos on it, and most everyone, obviously, you said it's the blacksmith puzzle, so there's that one solution. There's a little bit of variation on how many super archers and where. And really, the biggest difference I saw in a video was there was one person who, when it came to the main body push into the heart, did it from the left side, but everyone else came in stuff from the bottom of the heart, as in your video.
Yeah, and one I did think was cool because I think Judo on his said, if you mess up the super archers, just restart the challenge. And I was like, you don't even need to. I gave you extras. But Clash Bashing on his, he's like, just put your super archer. Yeah, she got killed. Just put another one. He's like, there's plenty. And I was like, that's perfect. That's kind of what I was going for.
Man, I was like, it didn't happen, but I told you this a couple weeks ago too, where I was just waiting for today, just so I could see how many people on Reddit would tell you to go watch Judo's video instead.
I get that all the time.
Like on like all the ones you post on Reddit, someone's like I can do this. Just go watch Judo's video. I was hoping it would just be a flood of those today, but like no one has my sense of humor apparently.
So did it feel weird making the like the guide videos for the challenge that you created?
So a little bit, just because I felt like, and this is like, I'm really bad at selling myself. Like everybody else, and I'm trying, but like everybody has a pretty standard thing. They're like, here's how to defeat the Valentine's Day challenge. Oh, by the way, there's a new skin. Use my code. And everybody has a different flavor of what they do.
Right,
Judo's like, oh, I appreciate the support. And Sir Moose is like, on this channel, we have something called a creator code. And, Kenny Joe, like they all have their own way of doing it, but every single one of them starts with the same type of thing. It's like, I'm going to show you how to beat the challenge. Oh, by the way, buy my stuff, use my code, and let's go ahead and get into the challenge. And I'm always like, so here's how we're going to tackle this thing. And then like, I'm not done at the end of the video. I'm like, oh yeah, use my creator code. Check out my TikTok and my YouTube and all that other stuff. So this time I did at least try to more proactively say stuff like, I designed this challenge. Use my creator code because I designed the challenge. But like, I shouldn't even need to preface it like that. I should just, be comfortable saying like, I'm pandering for money. Use code Trample.
You can have the little like jingling coins in the cup sound effects. Switching gears, you're not a huge builder base player, are you?
I am. I mean, I love Otto. I have like 8 of him, but I only have one base that actually got to my main original base that I started is the only one that actually finished the builder base. I did get into a habit probably like I don't know, maybe like 2.5, 3 years ago. I was having a lot of fun. I wanted to see if I could push pretty well because I was starting to get higher in trophies, and I wanted to see if I could start racking up prestige points. And so I was playing for a little while, but it's just there are so few variations in viable armies that eventually it was like, okay, I kind of got good with each of the main army types. And, lacking the new content, that's when I kind of fell off from like, now I'm just, upgrade the mines, upgrade the elixir collectors, upgrade Otto. Forget about the builder base.
Yeah, just because it's topical and there's a few people asking in the comments. I mean, are you excited for the new stuff coming for builder base? At least what we've seen so far.
I am. This is the thing. Like, I really love the game, and it's so dynamic. It really is. And the builder base is something that just because it hasn't gotten any new troops, any new defenses, any new mechanics over the last couple of years, it is for me. It has kind of stagnated. And I think about some people like, how do you stay interested? Because I get a lot of questions, whether it's on TikTok or on my YouTube channel, on Discord. Like, how do you stay interested in the game? And I'm like, aside from having far too many bases at every town hall level, which keeps it exciting for me, there's always the introduction of new content, whether it's a new super troop or if it's a new siege machine or a new town hall. Obviously, there's always like an evolving meta, and it's fun for me. I like that aspect. With the builder base, with the stuff that they've shown so far, it piques my interest in a way that most people I talk to hate Clan Capital. I actually really like it. I've been on a huge Clan Capital push lately.
Yeah, you have
my mini trample, my Trample Damage clan. I had all my Town Hall 3s and 4s and 5s. I moved to Town Hall 6 so that I'd be able to do more because I really just want to unlock the graveyard spell because that thing is so cool.
Yeah.
But I am really excited to see new content coming for the builder base. The one thing I know a lot of people have asked about and talked about over time is like the frustration of the multiplayer live simultaneous aspect. And that's the one part about builder base that I don't necessarily love. I've had some people that I've done some videos on TikTok over time. They're like super good with sneaky archers, but the attack takes an hour and a half. And for the person that you're up against, it's kind of annoying. So like, that's the only thing for me I would love to see change. But I'm super excited about what looks like are going to be like special abilities for the troops because it'll just add a lot more dimensions to how these attacks are going to work. And I think it will definitely, for me, it'll really revitalize my interest in playing the builder base.
Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna do anything with the art of it because that was one thing that I really appreciated about Clan Capital was how just wonderful the art and design was for everything, even introducing 3D models with with a few of the big troops. And so I wonder if there'll be any like visual updates to Builder Base or if it's just gonna be a rework from the gameplay perspective to make it more engaging.
During Darian's AMA, I know they had said like skins and scenery is kind of on the table for builder base with the revamp. So it probably just depends on how well that goes. If they're going to invest time in developing things to sell for it, pretty optimistic from the little bit we've seen so far.
I mean, I know speaking for myself from the perspective of somebody who is my video game I'm currently playing is Final Fantasy VI on my Game Boy Advance. I'm not actually all that worried about the graphics. Like I like gameplay. And so like I don't necessarily like I see sometimes people look, the heroes don't look realistic enough. I'm like, it's a giant barbarian. It's not going to look realistic no matter what you do to it. Like I don't care. So it's always fun to have like I love some of the skins. Like the Skeleton King skin, the Zombie Queen skin, the Golem King skin, like a couple of them I just absolutely adore. And especially the Town Hall 15 Magic set, those are just super cool, above and beyond. But if there's no cool visuals, I'll still be excited for the gameplay because that's the part that drew me to the game in the first place.
Another question from the comments. You're an iOS guy, so I probably know the answer to this, but have you checked out Squad Busters yet?
I have not. I do have a device that is an Android device, but it is not something that is. It's like I bought a I got mad at Apple for a period because I bought a gift card that by the time I purchased it in the store and walked out to my car and redeemed it had already been redeemed somehow, and so I clearly some like hacking thing. And I was mad, so I literally bought like a disposable Android phone so that I could start making my purchases through the Google Play Store instead of through the App Store. I still have. It's I'm
so
like I
petty.
said. I've been fortunate in my career. I can make those kinds of decisions. But once I decided that it was more annoying for me to go buy Google Play gift cards to put onto my phone, I'm now back to not using that device at all. But I'm intrigued. I used to play Heyday a lot, and I certainly don't need another game to get into. But I'm always interested to see the new stuff that's coming out.
Frank, did you sign up for the beta?
No, so I did a couple, really the only beta that I invested in was Brawl Stars way back in the day. And I had to make a Canadian IP on my phone for it. And I loved it. And if anybody's curious, the original iteration of Brawl Stars, it didn't have the two joysticks model. It was more like League of Legends or like a computer-based MOBA where you would click the screen and your character would walk there. And while they were walking, then you could shoot. And I loved that. But I say all that to say I was super disappointed when they changed that. They also changed it from vertical to horizontal, and I liked it when it was vertical. And so I get bummed out because I enjoy games in their beta, and then when they change pretty dramatically whenever they hit live, I feel like a boomer before it even comes out.
Yeah, yeah.
So I gave up on the betas. I'm not in it.
Back in the good old days 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like I've played 5 or 6 matches on Squad Busters, and it's not my kind of game. But it does feel like it does feel pretty slick and pretty easy to pick up. But yeah, if you guys haven't played it, we don't need to get into it. Moving on, Trample, what have you been doing in Town Hall 15 for your attacks lately?
So, sucking for the most part. I was feeling kind of down because I was having a lot of struggles. Like I think last Clan War League, I didn't get any triples with my main base in the good guys, and we demoted, which was not my fault. I didn't get any singles, but it was like I was like Mr. Consistent 80% 2-star guy, and
from
none
what
of them
league?
were. It wasn't. We dropped from Champ 1 to Champ 2 last month.
Oh, okay.
So I had another base this month in my Trample Damage clan. So we can only run 15 people in Champ 2. So we have, our 15 people there, and then the rest of the clan that wants to participate goes to Trample Damage, where we were in Master 2, and we had 10 15s and 5 14s, and we actually won and promoted to Master 1 with even fielding 5 Town Hall 14s, wow, which was cool.
That's
because most wars we were up against a bunch of and I'll tell you what, 2 stars win wars. Our Town Hall 14s consistently 2-starring every single war against Town Hall 15s. That's what pushed us. So my 15 that was in Trample Damage got a couple triples, so I was happy about that. But my main base, we were into War 4, and I had, again, it was like Mr. Consistent 2-star, and I was trying, I think, a Super Archer blimp with Electro Titans 1 attack. It was like a Super Archer blimp Hydra 2 other attacks. I don't remember what the other one was. And I was, my wife, she's really nice. She just like listens to me complain about stuff that she really doesn't care about. And I was like, you know what I want to do? I want to get back to trying Hog Riders, and I want to do like some Zap Hogs. And in War 5, there was a base that had it was a Poison Spell Tower, Poison Spell Tower, a Scatter Shot, a Wizard Tower, and a Bomb Tower, all right next to each other. And the Earthquake would let me hit the Town Hall, which was in one of the corner compartments. And I concocted this plan to zap Quake that area, activate the Town Hall, take the Town Hall with a Flame Flinger, my king, my queen, an Ice Golem, an E-Titan, walked around the outside, exactly where I pathed them, smash the base. I was so excited. And nice. I wrote in the clan chat, like I could cry. Like I felt so proud because like I looked like a pro. Like anybody watching that attack is like, wow, that was really slick. So then I was like, you know what, this is cool. I'm going to get back to this. And I started playing it in Legend. I had both my Town Hall 15 just got back to Legend League. And so I ran that attack for a couple of days, and I was feeling good about it. And then in War 6, I sent the good congressman a message saying like, hey, I wanted to run this idea by you. Can you like kind of pick your brain? He's like, sure. So we hopped on Discord and I showed him, I was screen sharing my iPad. And I'm like, here's my whole plan. I'm debating between these two approaches. And what do you think? And he's like, I think they both probably sound like they can work. And my plan involved, again, 6 lightning spells and an earthquake to take out a scatter shot with a poison spell tower. And I had another earthquake that I was going to bring to activate the town hall for my flame flinger. And I actually, Rick and I were talking for probably about 20 minutes, and he's like, it sounds like a good plan. It's like, you never know what'll happen, but it sounds like a good plan. So I was like, do you want to stay on the call while I make my attack? He's like, yeah, sure, why not? So I start my attack, and I immediately realized I had a poison spell where I didn't mean to bring a poison, and I didn't have the earthquake for the town hall. And immediately I was like,
oh no,
I don't even know. And it's like, and I know Rick was thinking like, that sucks. that's terrible.
Yeah,
and so
I just decided I was going to stay quiet for the next 2.5 minutes.
So I very quickly decided I can't pivot away from zapping out the scatter and the poison. My whole attack was based around that, and I had some sneakies to clear away some of the detritus around the walls on the town hall compartment in the corner. And I was like, I'm just going to try and float the 2 balloons that I brought to snipe a cannon. I was like, I'll float the 2 balloons toward the town hall. Maybe they'll get shot down over the town hall and activated. They didn't go anywhere near the town hall. So I was like, all right, well, there's enough. And I had the Phoenix on my king. So it's not even like the Yak was going to have no wall breakers. I was like, I don't even need any wall breakers, Rick. He's like, yeah, totally. I don't need them at all. And, but the king, so the flame flinger had done some damage to the walls, and the king pounded through. And because he had the Phoenix on him, he took out the town hall and got a lot of value around the town hall with some bomb towers. And I continued with the rest of the attack. And I'm like sitting there like, I cannot believe this is actually going to work. And eventually, as the attack is going, Rick is like, oh my God, dude, I think you're going to 3-star this. And so I'm right now very happy with getting back to I've always been a very big fan of Hog Riders. Mass Hogs at Town Hall 12 was when I pushed to my highest ranking in global was like 2,400. It's not that impressive, but like I finished the month at like 2,400. I was running a mass hog attack, like 44 hog riders at Town Hall 12 with a very small kill squad to take the town hall or the land castle.
Did you get the triple or not?
I did. I got 2. Nice. I got in War 5 and War 6. I got 2 triples. So I was super excited because last month I was like feeling bummed about it. I'm like, man, I suck. I don't know what's going on. I'm doing terrible lately. And it's like, first world problems, right? Like the stuff I'm complaining, like I can't get a triple in Clan War League. I have a great clan. Everybody is super friendly. Like it's a great, great gang. And I'm like whining because I'm not, one of the top few attackers in Clan War League. And part of it is because I always was. Like I was always somebody who was one of the top few, in terms of number of triples in Clan War. So I was really, really excited. So I'm gonna be rocking mass hogs for a while. Feel like I'm getting back to my roots.
Nice. So did your current week of CWL, did it go well? Are you over now?
We are. It started out very poorly. We lost 3 of the first 4 wars, and we were like, I can't believe we're going to demote again.
It was rough.
It was like a festival of 1-stars. And some of them were just like really unfortunate. Like one of the guys, one war, he recently got a tablet. And in doing something like the palm on his left hand, the palm side by his pinky, hit during it was so sad. He's doing a super archer blimp, lands it perfectly, and then dumps a rage spell and 2 invisibility on the far right hand side of the base. And it's like, oh my goodness. And there was no the position for how he was planning the attack and everything there was no recovering to get to the town hall. Like I don't know, maybe he could have, but then I don't think he would have even gotten 50%. So there were some that were just like bad luck, and then there were some other attacks where I felt like somebody. I posted a TikTok of an attack that I saw somebody do in the Trample Damage clan where they used. Oh no, it was in Good Guys 3, I think, or Good Guys 4, one of our clans, family clans. And somebody used like 22 witches and 3 ice golems or something, and they got a 3-star on the Town Hall 15. It was a decent Town Hall 15. It's probably like Town Hall 13 and 14 defenses, but it was really cool. And I made a TikTok about it. And I think one of my clanmates was like, that looks like a great attack. And so he tried doing mass witches, but there were like 2 centrally located multi-target Inferno towers, and neither one of them really had a plan. And like the attack, and he's coming completely across base. It's like anti 3-star.
So you were the problem, is what I'm hearing.
I was like, getting messed up.
No, not like that.
That's not for Champ 2 Clan War League. Like that's like a centrally located town hall, maybe, but against 3 multi-target towers. So we had like every war, it felt like we had like all of a sudden we were getting like 2 or 3 singles, and we were getting 2 or 3 triples to offset a lot of them. But I was like, I can't believe we're going to demote again. But then we won all 3 of the last wars. So that,
Nice.
that at least salvaged. I don't know if we got 3rd place or 4th place. So definitely
Fourth.
didn't. Yeah, we definitely weren't going to promote back. But at that point, I was like, I think we can still salvage 6th place.
Not bad.
Like I knew we weren't going to promote War 1 just because that clan smoked us.
Shout out to Sam and Mac, who aren't here right now but are in Centuriates with me. We were the number 1 ranked clan all week long. Came down to the very last attack of the day, and we couldn't clutch it out. We'll finish the week in 2nd. Super bummed. Would have promoted into Champs 2. And so once we do, Trample, you need to like sandbag for a couple months so that we can catch up and then spin at the same time. And we'll see if we can get in the same league.
Dude, if we don't clean things up, man, we're not gonna need to sandbag. We're gonna have to struggle to stay in Champs 2.
We have a couple of people. So we have a couple people that we picked up recently that one. I just call him Smiles. I know his name. I don't know that he tells anybody. I think he accidentally said it in a Discord chat with me one day. But he is amazing, and we've got a couple of really, really consistent attackers. Our best attacker actually kind of struggled this clan war league a little bit. He ended up getting a couple of singles, which I know he was super pissed about. But we do have a good team. We're just missing we have a couple people that just seem like they're not really that capable of delivering a triple, which you really need everybody to get at least one if you're going to wind up, in the course of the week. That's all I'm asking. Like, give me one. Like, if we can get 15 3-stars during the course of the week, we at least have a shot to win some of these wars. Yeah. Like, no singles, need at least a couple triples. And it's like a lot of these wars we'd win and we'd have 31, but we had 4 triples and 3 singles. Yeah, and so like if we that's crazy. If we can't get that, and I'm going to try and recruit. Smiles has a couple of friends. They were in a Champ 1 clan for a little while, but then they had a couple people leave and they're not spinning anymore there. So they've been like just kind of finding other clans to be a part of. And I was like, I'm going to see if his buddies want to come hang out and get us back to Champ 1. Because he's very talented. He's a very strong attacker.
Nice.
All right. So this weekend, you got something coming up. You want to tell us about that?
Oh yeah, I don't know. I think for some reason I decided I was going to start being like really cool and like throw these event wars, which is a lot of work. It's like way more work than I was expecting. We did the first event where we did was a 1-star extravaganza, where it's like everybody's just trying to get high damage 1-stars, which was really fun and a lot tougher than you might expect.
Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot watching it.
Yeah. Last month we did what my Rage in the New Year event, where you had to use only rage spells and poison spells in the war. And it was a lot of fun seeing some very intriguing attacks. And we normally will run Town Hall 10 up through Town Hall 15. And this month we are doing All You Need Is Love, because I'm going to keep trying to come up with cool, fun titles for these wars and new fun mechanics, hopefully. But this month it'll be only heal spells and haste spells. So I'm thinking we'll see, because of the haste, maybe some Lalo with some heals for the balloons instead of the rages, and we'll probably see some Hog Riders or some hybrid attacks, is my guess. But it should be a lot of fun. We're going to spin. I told everybody to be in the clan roughly 11 hours from now. I still have a couple people that have messaged me that they're interested. I put a sign-up sheet on my Discord server, which most people signed up through the Google form. And I'm just balancing. I have a spreadsheet where I'm just balancing now at this point. And then tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock my time, I'm on the West Coast in the U.S. 6 o'clock my time, I'll check the rosters and make sure everybody showed up. And then I'll move people around a little bit and then fill in my bases. Like if we're one Town Hall 12 short, I'll dump one of my Town Hall 12s in. And it should be fun. I think I'm going to keep trying to do these once a month. I think after enough of them, like there are a few people that reached out to me proactively this month saying like, hey, are you doing something this month, even before I got it set up. I think that what I'd like to do is eventually have it be something that sort of takes care of itself, where there are enough people who are interested that I'm not like knocking on doors 2 days before going, hey, do you have any bases that aren't going to be in war? Because I think I'm going to land like on a 25 versus 25 unless I get like a couple extra people tonight. But it's just fun. It's like it's trying to do more with troops or spells that we don't normally do, and it's cool to see what kind of crazy things people come up with.
All right, so if you are interested in joining some of those events that Trample Damage puts on, in the show notes of this episode, I'm going to include a link to the Discord server, the Trample Damage Discord server. So go ahead and join there. That's going to do it for us for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us, man.
Lots of fun.
Any shout outs?
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So what do you normally do with shout outs? This is where you say, like, I'd like to thank my wife because she's really cool, and my kids and my dog.
If you want to go Oscar ceremony, thank God your wife, whoever, that's cool too. You can throw a little shade someone's way too if you want to.
I really love the game, and I love the support. And you guys do. I know you guys get a lot of flack from people complaining about, like, oh, moderation here sucks, and like I see people whine about the most random things. And what it really means is that you can't please everybody all the time, and some people are vocal about it when they are unhappy. So barring the normal people being frustrated, the future Karens of the world that eventually wind up complaining about stuff, I really think you guys do a great job in curating and cultivating content that is dynamic enough to sustain on multiple levels. And I like having an opportunity to contribute periodically to the subreddit and continue, sharing my love of the game. So I just want to thank you guys for doing such a cool job with the sub, and then also for having me on. I was part of a podcast for a couple months, and I got into the habit of it. It was a lot of fun. And when Rick said, "Hey, you should come, with your challenge, you should come chat with us again," I was like, "Oh, that sounds like a wonderful idea. That'd be super cool." But I just, I have a lot of support that I wind up getting from, people in my clan. I've got like super cool co-leaders between like Thursday and Anthony and some of my smaller Good Guys clans. Storm recently joined, and she's been like super helpful with a lot of stuff, not just on Discord, but even in my clans. My co-leaders in the Good Guys, Shoddy, Battle Dad, Curly, Apple, Ethan, Shartak.
Cool,
like we have a Congressman Cool Rick. We have a really cool clan. Like I just, I'm very fortunate to be part of the community that I'm a part of. And of course, kudos to Supercell for putting together this awesome product that we get to enjoy.
All right, Frank, you got anything?
Yeah, shout out to all of my clanmates who are in mourning. I swear we finished second place in Champs 3 for like 6 months in a row. And it's just like you were saying too, Trample, it's the 1 stars get us every time. So shout out to them and their morning for tonight. And shout out to my daughter. She turns 1 year old on the 14th, which is also my birthday.
Yeah,
so
that's right. Yeah, that was. Yeah, we
having a real special father-daughter day.
Yeah,
that
you had
is super cool.
Yeah, I forgot you were, because when we first started the podcast, it was right after your kid was born.
Yeah.
Yeah, or right around
then. She's been around almost as long as Docs last.
Yeah, she's turning 1 RTC old.
Oh.
Yeah.
I hate that. That's it for me. I'm done.
Yeah, I just want to say congrats to Pineapples and Thorns. They just hit 50 episodes with a really cool interview with Darian, the community manager. You can listen to that episode and all the others on all major podcast platforms. All right. Thanks again, guys. This is a good one. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Tune in live or wherever you're listening to this now, it'll still be there. So, have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.
Oh, and use code Trample.